𝐋𝐄𝐈𝐅𝐄 Foundation, a vision rooted in faith. According to the iconic philanthropist and humanist Mother Teresa, not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. It is not the magnitude of our actions, but the amount of love that is put into them that matters. Today is no doubt an historic day in human history as we unveil the joys of 𝐋𝐄𝐈𝐅𝐄 Foundation 𝐗𝐿, a journey born from pain, refined faith, and substituted by love. A mission inspired by the heart of God and anchored in the promise of Proverbs 19:17, which says, "Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord." It is noteworthy that the vision behind 𝐗𝐿 was conceived on 28th November 2015. What began as a painful experience became a divine assignment to reduce infant mortality and support couples waiting for children spiritually, emotionally, and financially. We all could attest to the frustrations of having been married without desired children or fruit of the womb. Like every great vision, the event of joys of 𝐋𝐄𝐈𝐅𝐄 Foundation was through the birth of a fragile premature baby. In 2015, someone very close to the visionary of 𝐗𝐿, Dr. Joyce 𝐿, went into preterm labor at 7 months with the attendant risks and consequences to the mother and the baby. Unfortunately, the baby was not only delivered too early, the hospital had no available incubator to aid the immediate survivor of the bundle of joy. The doctors focused on saving the mother, and the baby was left without hope. Dr. 𝐋𝐄𝐈𝐅𝐄, with rich human kindness, could not accept that. She insisted and prayed and signed the discharge. The baby was transferred to a private hospital where proper neonatal care was available, with the bills shouldered by her and her husband. To God's glory, the baby survived. Her name is Favour Emefiele, and she has turned 11 years. This situation was a turning point for Dr. Joyce 𝐿, as it appeared the veil in her eyes were removed. She continued to wonder in her heart how many children would have had to die prematurely if not for the divine intervention due to avoidable challenges such as lack of equipment. Since the whole essence of life is not about what we have, but how many lives we are able to touch when we have opportunity, Dr. Joyce 𝐿 was prodded from saving just a life to saving multitude of children and preserving destinies. Within the grace allotted to her, there was no going back after intervening in Favour's case. This started the Joys of 𝐋𝐄𝐈𝐅𝐄 Foundation, under which she has been given fertility support, enhanced maternal well-being, and neonatal care. The foundation has also donated neonatal equipment to public hospitals, incubators, and life-saving tools for premature babies to the delight of the recipients. Among institutions that were recipients of these humanitarian gestures were Gbagada General Hospital and Igando General Hospital in Lagos, among others. In the course of making those donations and helping babies to survive, the couple realized something important: that saving a life is only the first step. What happens after survival also matters. And that understanding envisioned them to expand their impact beyond the hospital walls. They ventured into educational sponsorship, particularly for the less privileged. The mantra was that life must not only be lived, it must also be nurtured. One of the children that have enjoyed this tranche of educational support is Christabel Okpara, whose education the Joys of 𝐋𝐄𝐈𝐅𝐄 Foundation has sponsored from JSS1 and will continue to support through SS3. Whilst the 𝐗𝐿 did not lose its trajectory on sponsoring students, another burden began to well up in the minds of the visionaries. It was the fact that multitude of couples were still praying to have their own babies. This pain is not alien to the 𝐿 because they also experienced and lived with it. The experience of Dr. Joyce 𝐿 was indeed jaw-dropping. For 26 years, she lived in the space between promise and pain, going through 6 rigorous surgeries and experiencing 6 miscarriages that would have produced 4 boys and 2 girls. According to her, and I unquote, "I underwent 13 IVF treatments, both in Nigeria and abroad. Each time I conceived, hope returned, and each time I lost a baby, a part of me broke. There were seasons of silence, moments of deep questions, times when the weight felt unbearable, but through it all, I held on to faith, and in God's perfect time, my quiver became full with children." End of quote. In fulfillment of the Holy Scriptures in Psalm 30 verse 5, that pain may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Ojemodia's season of waiting was turned into joy, and she knew that joy was not meant for her alone. There was no better prompting to help those who were similarly challenged than what the Ojemodias went through. They began to financially support IVF for couples who could not afford it, reasoning that no couple should lose their dream simply because of financial limitations. On 20th May 2023, the Ojemodias welcomed their first IVF baby. That moment was more than a birth. It was an evidence that faith, support, and action can change human narratives. But the Ojemodias and the JOF worked closely with couples, and again they realized something even deeper, that the struggle was not only medical or financial, it was emotional, it was mental, it was spiritual. This realization also gave birth to something greater, and that was what they refer to as the baby bundle. That couples in waiting often suffer silently. They appear strong, but inside they are tired. They begin to question themselves. They sometimes begin to lose faith. That is why Baby Bundle was launched as a quarterly outreach program for couples by JOF in waiting. Through Baby Bundle, the Joyce Ojemodia Foundation provides spiritual strengthening, counseling sessions, medical guidance, community support, encouragement of real testimonies to lift others. Through this initiative, JOF has seen faith restored and barriers broken. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as a significant chapter is about being opened today, it is important to note that the Joyce Ojemodia Foundation is not an organization, it is rather a movement. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 6 people globally experience infertility. That is about 17% adults globally. Millions of families are waiting for access to affordable fertility care. At the same time, Nigeria faces a devastating reality with a neonatal mortality rate of 1,049 deaths per 1,000 live births. Means approximately 11% of babies do not survive their earliest days of life. Behind every number is a family in pain. This is why we are here. Today, we are not just asking for donations, we are inviting partnerships. Your support will directly provide additional incubators for public hospitals, expanded IVF sponsorship slots, professional counseling under Baby Bundle, operational scale to reach more families. JOF already works with established hospital partners where lives are being saved every day. What we need now is scale, and scale requires strategic partners like you to be on board. Remember, there is great reward in giving and being sold to others in love. When you give rose to others, your hand will never lack fragrance too. It is now my honor and privilege, and to the glory of God, that we formally present to you and launch the Joyce Ojemodia Foundation. Congratulations.